Hello, everybody. I'm from Spirit Rescue Talk. My name is Jordan, and we have the lovely Amy Major here, the woman who started it all. And so today we wanted to talk about, with the transitioning of seasons, we thought what a great time to talk about transitioning of souls.
Perfect time.
Beautiful time to talk about rescue mediumship. How are you
It's
doing
always
today?
a good time to talk about rescue mediumship.
It's never not a good time.
That's what I'm saying. Come on, Jordan, every day.
All day, every day.
Okay, maybe not that much.
Well, when you open up and you don't have your boundaries set yet, it is all day, every day.
Oh, I know. And I think those of us that are rescue mediums, we deal with earthbound spirits almost daily, depending on how active you are in it. But we also love talking about rescue mediumship as well. I mean, obviously, this is, I'm going to put the banner up, Spirit Rescue Talk.
It is the right place, the right time, always.
It is. But it's something that we both love to talk about. And I think you and I wanted to both get on and talk a little bit more, a deeper, more advanced information about what, Spirit Rescue is. So I thought we'd get on tonight. And because we've had some guests on last year, and everybody has their opinion and everybody has their own way of doing things. We like just to kind of come on sometimes and give a little bit of our opinion on things. That way you can hear different points of view. And the interesting thing is, when I first got started in rescue mediumship, there were like 100 different ways to cross the spirit over, or to talk to an earthbound spirit, or what people were even thinking an earthbound spirit was, because it's like there was so much confusion at the time when I started getting involved almost 30 years ago. And today, we still have a lot of the confusion. No matter, we have books out there, which there were no books on rescue mediumship when I first started. And there were some movies that had come out about ghosts, and you had a couple of TV shows that had come out, the early 2000s. And it kind of explained a little bit about communicating with ghosts and helping them into the light. But there was no formal teaching, instruction-led courses or development groups that did it. There were some rescue circles, and Jordan and I can talk about that, underground rescue circles, which we're finding, which are a great tool to learn how to do rescue mediumship in a group, which we'll talk about a little bit. But Jordan, what got you invested in rescue mediumship? I know my long story, which everyone's kind of heard of, but we'd love to hear more about your story.
It's funny, I was just thinking about that. Well, funny enough, when I was growing up in the early 2000s, I remember there was a show called Ghost Whisperer, and with Jennifer Love Hewitt in it. And my mom loved the show. And I remember sitting there thinking, wow, I wish I had that ability and I could do that. And I would help all those people, because I could see in the show the ripple effect of the healing. But even when I was really young, I'll never forget this. I think I've mentioned this before on the show. My great aunt had taken me to Kingston, Ontario to go see her cousin. and to see some of the extended family that I had never met yet. And I was about 4.5, 5 at the time. And I got to meet all these second and third cousins who were much older than me. They're all like teenagers and young kids, but I was the youngest and the only girl. And they brought me to this decrepit barn that was falling apart, and they left me there after they told me it was haunted. And I remember walking around, even at that young age, feeling the energy and feeling like energy coming towards me. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember just crying for what I felt was souls that were earthbound. And I kept telling them, I'm so sorry you're stuck here. If I can one day help you, I'll come back and I'll come help you. And I wish that you could, go talk to your angels, like talk to your loved ones up there. I'm sure they'll come down. And I was just crying for them because,
Well,
and
question about that. What made you think that they weren't in the light?
I just felt so much sadness and so much like feeling like I was stuck. Like not me, but the energies that were coming towards me. And I just started crying for them, and I just started talking out loud, and I was calling on like my angel or whoever could come down and help them. And I knew nothing about earthbound spirits at this point. I didn't know about mediumship at this point. I knew nothing. But I remember that experience. And I remember on that same trip, actually, I was trying to move stuff with my mind, and I was so hyper focused on it. My great aunt was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Leave me alone." And I was trying to read people's thoughts. Like I was like, and no one had ever taught me anything about that. But that was like when I look back, I was like, okay, Jordan, you knew something. But it was really the Ghost Whisperer TV show that got me into the concept of it. And then some paranormal programming my family would watch every once in a while, but I always felt really against that at the time when I was a kid. Not that I had any judgments towards it, but I think it probably was my team at the time telling me to, stay away from some of those things, knowing that I had seen spirits as a kid every once in a while, not often, but enough. But yeah, the Ghost Whisperer show, and how she would talk to the spirits to bring them counseling and help pass on their message. And then I'd always think the ethics of that and how do you pass that like I had questions about how she did
I
it.
wouldn't know. I had already been doing the work for about 5 or 6 years when that show came out. And I was thinking, oh, this is great. I could watch a show about what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
my guides were like, nope, nope, turn the show off. You're not watching the show. I'm like, why? And they're like, we don't want you getting brainwashed by
Mm-hmm.
this show because it, is sensationalized. They
It
were
did.
doing everything they could to train me in techniques of practicality of what real rescue mediums do out in the field.
Yeah.
And the TV show was making it look so much easier than what it really was. And so every time I
Oh yeah.
wanted to watch the show, my guys were like, nope, nope, you're not doing it. Don't watch the show. We don't want this to ruin what we're teaching you.
I
So
can see that.
I didn't get to watch it for like 15 years later when it came out on reruns, or you get to watch it somewhere else. And I was watching it going, oh, I could see
You
why
can
they
see
don't
it
want me
now.
watching this show. But I
I
was
haven't
done. It's like, oh man, I don't get to watch it.
I haven't rewatched it since training with you and even finding out that because I was a kid when that was over. I didn't know about anything that I could do at that point. But I'd be really interested to go back and watch it now and see the different, but I remember it being very simple, which this work is not always simple by any means, shape,
No,
or form.
no.
It's much more complicated at times. But I remember that like it was very a little bit of investigation, and then talk to the spirit, and then give them a perspective, and then they would suddenly go, which doesn't
Well,
always happen.
they have to make it look like it's something you would normally do, like talk to somebody next to you or have a conversation with
Oh yeah.
them. And training as a rescue medium was very different from that. Very
Oh yeah.
close to regular mediumship, where you get a lot of symbols and
Yeah.
feelings and sensations and people slapping your face and people
Yeah. You
doing
don't.
all sorts of things from the spirit world, and which isn't always the nice conversational
No.
style. And you know and there's some much darker parts of rescue mediumship that of course they don't want to have in the show, but it's just what mediums can sometimes see, feel, hear, smell, or touch is very different than what you see in TV or movies, which is
Yeah.
why I think my guides were just like, absolutely not.
I
You're not.
do remember they brought a character later on in the show that he was a male and he had a near death experience, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But all he could do was hear spirit. He couldn't see them. Now, obviously,
Mm.
they're actors and stuff, so we as the audience could see it, but he couldn't see them. Or,
Oh,
yeah, but he
good.
could hear them. He could kind of sense their presence, but he could really, well, the main character had all the glare abilities. But,
Well, yeah, it's just like the movie Ghost.
yeah.
And the movie Ghost is the one where my guides told me that I was a rescue medium because, and those
Really?
people, yeah, and because, it had come out, been out for a few years, and I think I was about 2 or 3 years into my mediumship development, and I felt like all this heavy energy around me all the time. I was kind of being attacked, and I kept wondering, like, what's going on with me? Why do I have all this real heavy energy? And they kept saying the movie Ghost, Ghost. And they showed me the picture in my head, my third eye, of the movie Ghost. I'm like, yeah, 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 I know. I'm a medium. You already got this through to me several times. I get it. They're like, no, Ghost. This is before I knew anything really about rescue mediumship. And so it wasn't until several years later the light bulb went off and I was like, oh, is that what they meant? I'm dense. It didn't get through to me, but it was like I did not know anything about earthbound spirits. I was still trying to figure out how to be a medium and connect to spirits in the light. And they're like, no, Ghost, watch the movie. That's what you're supposed to do. And the character played by Whoopi Goldberg, she could only clairaudiently hear spirits
Hmm.
around her. She couldn't see, touch, feel, or know that the spirits were there. I did like the scene where she channeled, though, and danced. Though there was a bit of a scene there, it got a little fresh, but but I just like, oh, how far are they going to go with this scene? But I love the movie because it is one of the closer depictions of an earthbound spirit in most of the movies that I've seen. How do you feel about the movie?
I actually haven't seen that one, to be honest with you. So now I'll have to add it to my list. Don't even judge me.
I'm so
I know I'm
judgy.
surprised we haven't watched it when I've come down. Um, but I've seen, and I'm noticing there's actually more shows now coming out, like more theatric shows, not like paranormal shows, but
Mm.
like, just actor led, that are talking about earthbound souls or souls that kind of like stay right there.
So, speaking of that, I think the next
Great
question
segue.
and that we have to answer is what is an earthbound spirit? Because we're talking a lot about the word ghost and the word term earthbound spirit. Many of you have learned this, but there are so many people out there that still haven't heard it, still playing off the old stereotypical mindset of, ghosts are things that are wispy somewhere that float around us, not quite sure exactly what they are, what they can do, but we wanted to create just a little bit more definition, um, and define it just so much so you first alleviate fear from most earthbound spirits and to understand more of the scientific explanation of why it happens. Because if we can apply it to practical understanding of our third dimensional mindset, what that means is if we can figure it out here, what it means here in third dimension. Sorry, I use a lot of terms with my training. If we can make it practical understanding and grounding for many people to understand, then you can alleviate a lot of that fear that we create with the term ghost. And many of us in the rescue mediumship field don't even use the word ghost. The only time we ever use the word ghost is when we're speaking in a public setting or on a podcast or talking to people where they are more familiar with the term ghost. But in the spiritual community, psychic community, paranormal community, we really try to stick more with the term earthbound spirit because it applies more to what it actually, or what they actually are, more than the term ghost. So I'm a fan of the word ghost. I like it. It's a good term. But I have noticed a lot of people out there trying to change the term ghost, which I wasn't a fan of. So, Jordan,
Really?
yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, okay. I'm going to have Jordan explain what an earthbound spirit is and what a ghost is first. And then I'm going to tell you what they're trying to change the term ghost to.
I'm so I'm so curious about what the new term is. Okay.
Oh, it's not new. It's just they were wrong. So I'll be nice. They were wrong.
I was gonna say, as I
See,
become the
Spirit
ghost.
is agreeing with me on this
I was
one.
gonna say, as I become the pale ghost.
There you go.
Anywho,
So what's an
so,
earthbound spirit, Jordan?
so first and foremost, it's not a demon. I feel like I needed to preface that because there is a lot of misconceptions that when we feel spiritual activity, that a lot of people automatically assume that it is something vicious or malicious in their intention. Not always, no. So an earthbound spirit could be understood as a person, as an individual like you or me, who in their passing, due to a number of reasons, which I'm sure we'll get into, they have not fully transitioned to the other side, heaven, the light, love, etc. Now, it doesn't mean that aspects of them haven't transitioned. It could be something that we call a fragment that can stay earthbound on our
We'll get
energetic,
to that
I
in a
guess.
minute. More
Yeah, I
detail.
was gonna say there's so many things, but essentially just an individual who hasn't fully transitioned to the other side, in simple terms, due to a myriad of reasons.
Right, right. Another way of saying it that most people can relate to are these are the forms of soul people when they die move out of their physical form and elevate to a higher form of frequency. And many people say that we cross over to the other side or spirit world when we leave our physical form. That is absolutely true. What actually happens is when someone physically or leaves their physical body, they move into a layer or vibrational match in the astral plane, which is the fourth dimension, depicted on their personal vibration. So, like energy attracts like energy. When somebody leaves their physical body and they're experiencing love or happiness or joy, or they have a peaceful passing or even an illness, but they know they're getting ready to pass. It's a peaceful transition. They go to higher states of frequency in the astral plane, which we call spirit world, or a lot of people like to say the light. There are some people that die in very tragic ways, and they still go into the light because they're able to let go of their physical experience because the loving embrace of the light is it just takes them over and they can't resist it, and it's wonderful. But for some reason beyond our true understanding, there are some souls that just cannot release their attachment to things that have existed in their physical life. And due to their attachment being mental, emotional, or even karmic, they retain their focus on the denser levels, become attached to the denser vibrations in the astral plane, and they stay closer to what we call the earth plane. So if you think of a high rise building, and the astral plane is the high rise building with 7 levels or 7 floors, that is the astral plane. When a spirit moves into the first 3 levels of that high-rise building, they're what we consider earthbound because they are closer to the earth vibration. Anything with the 4th floor or above, we consider them crossed over or into higher states of consciousness. We consider the light. they're lighter, they're brighter, they hold more consciousness of oneness of source, and they have been able to shed their egos and their identities connected to the earth, depending on the floor that they go to. So earthbound spirits are the ones on the lower floors, more focused on the attachment, whatever it is they can't let go of their physical existence. And so they hold a lot denser energy, heavier emotions, heavier thoughts. There are quite a few of them that are thinking about negative things, which we'll get into in a second, because, rescue mediumship is not the easiest form of mediumship out there, depending on the type of earthbound spirit we talk to. But many people throughout history have called them ghosts. And the term ghost is nothing more than resonance or residual energy or energy of a soul or spirit left behind in a place that holds consciousness. So a soul that holds consciousness that is remaining in a space is considered a ghost, in simple terms, which is true about an earthbound spirit. But because throughout the years so many people have depicted negativity and scary themes around ghosts for so long, we chose to use the word earthbound spirit so we can have a different viewpoint perception of the earthbound spirit, so that we can retain a more positive perspective and help them in healing ways without having that fear-based mentality around it. Right, Jordan?
Yep.
So these days, a lot of people are trying to use the term ghost for a residual imprint instead, meaning there's no soul consciousness connected. It's only a residual energy left behind where a spirit may have been, but now there's just fragments or residual remnants of energy left behind that may play out in like as an apparition or sounds or feelings that we would normally get from a residual imprint. And they're using the term ghost for that now, which I don't agree with personally. But I can understand why they were doing that.
I find ghost has this history of being this very overarching word, like an umbrella term, when there is so much more specifics and that's why a lot of the terminology, as Amy's saying, we like to use different terminology because it gives a more holistic understanding. Mm-hmm. One, what to look for, but two, how to respond or react when you come face to face with different aspects of the spirit world.
Yes. And you will come across many different forms of consciousness in the astral plane. I like using the term astral plane a lot more than the spirit world, because these days life's changing and our spiritual evolution is happening. Many mediums are waking up, but they're connecting to many forms of consciousness in the astral plane that are not relatives. They're not loved ones that we consider spirit world, but rather other realms and worlds and existences that are held in fourth dimension. It's kind of like the earth. We have the earth, but in third dimension we have our solar system, and then we have the other universes. In the astral plane we have the spirit world, but we also have many forms of consciousness and conscious beings that exist in the astral plane. So many mediums are waking up and they're communicating with other forms of consciousness that were never human. They were never our relatives, friends, loved ones that were here on the earth plane. And we like to think of them as more interdimensional mediums, or mediums that connect to ETs, mediums that connect to star seeds, mediums that connect to beings that we're just now starting to understand and connect to and have no idea what they are at this point, but they exist and they're seeing us and we're at more of a resonance with them. So we're overlapping the dimensions more. So when someone says, "Oh, you're a medium," and if you're not giving confirmation of your loved one on the other side, you're not a real medium. That doesn't pertain to mediumship anymore unless you specifically say you're a spiritual medium or a psychic medium that specializes in connecting to those in the spirit world. Because we're evolving, we are changing, and many people are waking up in this evolutionary cycle to be able to explore more of the astral plane. I think we were very hyper focused on just the spirit world for a while because that's all our consciousness was able to understand and to manage at the time. But I believe we are expanding beyond that. And many mediums are waking up and seeing things and hearing things that aren't human. And they're thinking they're going crazy. And what they need to be is supported and guided by those that have been doing this for some time. Don't look at me. I'm not talking to the aliens. That's Jordan. That's a Jordan thing. Right, Jordan?
We talk to
All
all different sorts of
ones
things.
in the world. What was that?
I'm gonna say we talk to all different sorts of things.
Yes. I have been forced to talk to them, whether I wanted to or not. Yes, I like to stay in my lane. I like the spirit world. I like communicating with relatives in the light, and I love connecting to earthbound spirits to obviously help them get back into the light to the spirit world. I have connected to those that are interdimensional beings because I do channel for a lot of clients around the world, and they connect to very high level interdimensional beings. So when I sit for a client and we've got a very high seventh dimensional being that was never human coming in, I'm like shaking from the channel, and I'm like, where's the spirit world? Can I go back to that? And my guides are laughing and they're like, nope, you're going to do it all. You're going to do it all. So,
Once you
that's what I'm
go back,
saying.
you
So
can't go
many
back.
mediums, we can't, because when
You
you're
can't go
there,
back.
connect and they see you and they know you can see them. Might as well just get used to it
As we've
because,
talked about before, just an awareness of something can shift your vibrational frequency that makes you
yes,
more of a match.
open doors that weren't open before. Very
Mm-hmm.
much so. But it's okay. It's for the most part safe because if you're seeing it and you're experiencing it, your guides have allowed it. And if they're allowing it, that means they're fully confident in your ability to do this work, even when you're not. Because most of the time we're not. But they are, and they'll come in and they'll walk you through it. But you have to ask for that extra assistance because many guides will just assume, oh, maybe they're just going to learn through experience, or maybe they'll remember as they go. I was a hot mess trying to
Oh, me
learn
too.
how to do this work.
Oh, me
So,
too.
any of you that feel like I'm not doing this right or I'm messing up, or that's so normal, it's okay. Join the club because we're all messy in the beginning of doing this work, and that's why we have guides to do it with us. So, but earthbound spirit is the consciousness of a human soul that has not transitioned to higher states of consciousness and frequency that we would consider the spirit world or higher planes of existence. They are somewhere hovering between the earth plane and the higher states of astral plane. So the whole analogy of crossing over is a wonderful theme. Love it. Great job, John Edward. But it doesn't truly give the understanding of what an actual transitionary state of a conscious soul really is, because there's many levels. It's kind of like going up a staircase. Some people just stop a third of the way up, say, that's it, that's all I want to go. Other people race all the way up to the door and head in. It just depends on the soul. There's no rhyme or reason sometimes why some do and some don't. Everything is a personal choice. And that's something we have to really explain, that earthbound spirits are not forced to stay earthbound. Do you want to explain a little bit more about that, Jordan? Sophie?
Before we kind of get into that, I was thinking about how you talked a lot about the attachment, right? And the attachment keeps them anchored here in the 3D more. And for those who don't know, Amy, what is attachment to the 3D?
Attachment in the 3D is a soul hyper focused on something they can't let go of. It doesn't mean that they're attached to you. That's a completely different form of attachment. We will talk more about attachments in other episodes because that's a lot of detail there. But when we say attachment, that means what is the earthbound spirit so focused on that they can't let go of, such as a loved one that's here and they're like a mother that can't let go and wants to make sure that loved one grows up okay. So they're going to stay a little closer to the earth plane to kind of hover and watch over them. And now a lot of you have mothers out there go, oh yeah, that's totally my mom. She wouldn't let me go. And then we have some spirits that are really regretful of their death and they have a really hard time letting go of their physical experience. So they stay closer to the earth plane to oversee and watch what may have occurred, how everybody else is doing. They're staying close to the people that they love. They're not ready to let go of their life yet. And so they'll stay there. I have connected to a lot, and I mean a lot of earthbound spirits that are just wandering aimlessly looking for the door to the other side. They come to me going, okay, I know I'm dead. I know I'm not where I'm supposed to be, but I have no idea where I'm supposed to go. And that used to confuse me often because, like, how does someone not know how to die? How does a soul not know how to get back to the other side? The birth process is easy. And then I heard the spirit world go, not so much. Even coming into this existence, there we have issues with that too. And I'm like, oh, that's a whole other subject. But when a soul is actually transitioning, they could stop at any time. They can delay the process due to fear, anger, resentment, questioning why they died in the first place. So when all these spirits come find their way, judgment, yeah, religion, expectation, yeah, and biases. Oh, this is what's going to happen to me. I'm going to be rich and famous in the spirit world, and they're in a dark box and they can't figure out what happened. So they'll reach out and try to find the only light that they can see. And quite often that light is another medium. And they'll find their way. They'll see the light, which we all carry the light within ourselves. We are all light beings. But those of us that come in as light workers, our light is just a little brighter. So they can see us a little bit easier. And so they'll come up, they'll try to talk to us, say, hey, can you just point me in the right direction? And I learned a long time ago that we needed to bring in a guide or an angel or open a door to kind of help with the continuation of their transition. But Jordan, if you want to say, there are other souls out there that don't even know that they've died. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I've certainly met a number of them that didn't. Now, not always, but some of them, it was due to a traumatic passing where it was very quick and unexpected and very sudden. And similar to, I think, how in life, and again, this is just my own theory, where when something very traumatic or scary happens, our brains naturally like to block it out. They don't like to look at it. Our nervous system's even regulated to do that, not to look at the big scary thing. Even when people have passed, if something is very deeply hurtful or scary or traumatic, they can naturally don't want to look at it, even without that happening in their awareness. So I've met a lot of folks who have passed who did not know that they were passed, and not always, but sometimes their guides would come in and say, we need you to deliver the message in a nice therapeutic way, because they weren't really paying attention to their guides at that point, because they were like, those are strangers, I don't want to talk to them, because they hadn't recognized at the time that they had passed. So sometimes it could have been from that. I've also had souls who they passed in their sleep very peacefully, and we're just like, I just started existing as if they were still alive. Didn't even recognize it because they went to bed, they woke up and just carried on with their day.
A great movie that shows that is The Others with Nicole Kidman. I think that's what it's called, The Others.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you haven't seen that one either.
I've seen that one. I
Oh,
will, I'm not gonna lie, The
right.
Sixth Sense was my favorite movie as a kid.
Yes.
That
Great
was one of
medium about a movie. Great movie about a medium. But yes, the Others is about, and I'm not going to spoil it for all of you, but it is about ghosts that aren't aware that they've actually died. Great movie. Another one that I kind of like as well, but it gets a little bit more into a storyline. It feels a little bit more fictional, is Passengers with Anne Hathaway. I have my students watch that movie as well in the rescue mediumship course. So I have my students watch movies. Yes, yes, I do, because they're
We're
great.
getting
They're
up
great.
posting all the lists of all the good movies.
Yes, it's a lot of fun to learn this work as well. So, speaking of the work we do, I think we need to talk a little bit about, now that we know that these earthbound spirits exist, because they do,
They
we
do.
have to talk a little bit about the type of mediums that are focused on helping them transition. Because, as you know, not all mediums focus on this, not all mediums believe in this, not all mediums like to talk about this. And I absolutely believe that every medium is here to do a very specific job according to their vibration and their contract, what their guides want, what their higher self would like them to do, which would have nothing to do with this work. And I think they're wonderful. I think they're wonderful mediums. I think they are great at what they do, especially when it comes to helping people connect to the loved ones on the other side. I do that work as a spiritual medium as well. I love it just as much as rescue mediumship. But there are many mediums that don't like talking about earthbound spirits. They don't like talking about rescue mediumship. So if you're looking for more information on earthbound spirits, try to connect to a medium that says they do crossover work, spirit rescue work, soul transition work. It's all the same thing, just using different terminology. But the term rescue mediumship was coined back in the 1950s by a small group, and I actually met the one lady, a wonderful lady in Australia, who was part of the team that coined the phrase rescue mediumship before she actually retired. And she kind of passed the torch to me and said, please take over and continue training the world about this. And I felt so honored when she did that. That was so great. But this form of mediumship has been around for a very, very long time. But the term rescue mediumship has only been around for about how many years now? 75 years?
Wow.
God, has it been that long? 75 years? So, not a long time. And in these, no, please, I just got did my math wrong with that. 19, I did my math right. I'm getting older than I think I am. Okay.
I'm bad at math, so I'm the wrong person to ask unless there's a calculator involved.
I'm like, has it really been that long? I'm still thinking it's the 1980s. Forgive me. So it has been 75 years on that. So the term hasn't been around for a long time. And even though the term has been around for that long, the understanding of this work has only started to come around the last 25, 30 years. So when I first started getting involved in rescue mediumship, I think there were only a few dozen people discussing this work around the world. And I had to really search. And this is when Google first came out. Dating myself there. But it's when Google first came out, and I'm finally able to get on, start searching the web. And there are people out there that are talking about rescue mediumship and talking and saying the terms and the things that my guides are teaching me from the other side. And I was just amazed. I thought I'd been crazy this whole time. Not that I'm not, but I thought I was crazy thinking that I was supposed to help all these earthbound spirits. And they were giving me all this information, and it was real. And other people were talking about it around the world. And I was so excited when I found other like-minded mediums out there that I could express my ideas and my concerns with and get feedback. It was like I finally found the people that understood me. And it was so amazing and so wonderful, which was really hard to do. I think today we have a lot more mediums accepting this work. We have a lot of mediums waking up to this work. So it's a very exciting time to do rescue mediumship. But Jordan, would you like to describe and explain what rescue mediumship is?
So, similar to what Amy was saying earlier, rescue mediumship is a form of mediumship. There are many different forms of mediumship. This is just one form.
Mm-hmm.
That is essentially a medium whose vibrational frequency is attuned to match that of an earthbound. So Amy was mentioning those first 3 layers, those first 3 floors. You're attuned somewhere in those floors. Not
Mm-hmm.
every medium connects with the same type of earthbound spirits. I want to preface that. There are different layers, as Amy was saying earlier, in the astral plane that earthbound may sit at different layers. So not everyone's experience is going to look the same. But essentially, a rescue medium is a medium who has the capability to connect with earthbound spirits in those frames, and is able to also connect with their guides and the support on the other side in order to provide support and assistance to that earthbound if they are looking for support in transitioning to the other side, the higher frequencies, etc. And there's different strategies and tools that an earth or rescue medium can utilize in order to support the earthbound.
Yes, very much so. And I have been teaching rescue mediumship for about 20 years now. And the way I teach it is the way that it was trained to me from the other side, from my guides. There are many other people, mediums, rescuers around the world that teach it in their style as well. So I highly recommend to reach out and connect to as many rescue mediumship teachers as you can find and just get a feel for what feels right for you. You know, what style fits your narrative and your vibration and your awareness and your personal outlook of the rescue medium, because there is no one size that fits all. We like to try to categorize things a little bit more and create structure. I'm huge on structure. I'm ex-military. Everything was structure in my training. And I'm very much by the book. Stick to it. Stick to your morals. Be respectful. Understand spiritual law. My guides were very particular on teaching me very specific ways to get this work done, because they knew I was going to be training thousands of people around the world. So I had to make sure that I got it right. And I had to create enough structure so that people wouldn't either get confused or they wouldn't do it wrong, because there are a lot of mediums out there that are doing it wrong, unfortunately. Where people go wrong is not by having the structure, not by knowing exactly what they're supposed to do. And I don't want to scare any of you thinking that you've done it wrong just because you haven't been trained. The other side picks up our mess. They really do. If we kind of we hear mediums just throwing earthbound spirits in portals, not knowing where they're sending them to, the other side will do something about that. They'll find the soul, they'll get them into the place where they're supposed to go. They know that we're still learning. They know that there's a learning curve of trying to figure this out. Your guides are trying to guide you to the best teacher possible, so you feel that you have a foundation, you have a structure, you feel secure enough to do the work, knowing you're doing it accurately and you're doing it respectfully for the earthbound spirit as well. So search out, whichever teacher aligns to what works for you. But for me, I like a very structured approach. I
So do
crack
I.
the whip.
Which is why when I first opened up I remember asking my team, I'm going to need a teacher in the physical, somebody who can teach me, and not just through my learning style, but also kind of what we've talked about earlier a little bit about that community and not feeling crazy. Like, it's really validating to have people around you that can not only validate your experience, but provide a level of empathy and
Mm-hmm.
support when it does get hard, or when it does get a little bit nerve wracking or a little bit scary, or when you're worried you messed up. Community and having people around you that can relate and provide support and guidance through that is really, really helpful. And so I remember when I first opened up, my team started teaching me things, but they directed me to Amy. And this isn't just an ad for Amy, but just saying, because I'm a perfectionist and I like to do things. I like to have a lot of understanding, I have a lot of questions, but I like to know the structure and the steps. But for folks who might necessarily not need that or might not find the value in that, there's many other individuals that teach, as Amy was saying, in their own way. There
Yes.
is many, many ways of doing this work, and every earthbound also is very different, and maybe what they need out as a soul might be different. So it's important
Right.
that we have many people with hands on this, because you never know what, not only what do we need, but also what does that soul need in the support, if they need our support in
So,
that moment.
what would some training look like that would help guide you into doing this work? First thing is, a teacher needs to get you to understand why you're doing this work in the first place. Understanding your foundation, very important, because why are you doing anything in the spiritual work? Just because you can, or because you really do care and you want to serve a purpose and be of service to spirit? So, really helping you learn your foundation is very important. Next, we need to teach you the ins and outs, the full detail of what earthbound spirits are beyond what we've explained here, because it goes into much more detail than this. It's much more advanced. When we teach about earthbound spirit, then we teach why they haven't crossed over, different techniques to communicate with them, how they actually reach out and connect to us. I teach indirect and direct forms of mediumship, rescue mediumship, because there are many different ways to connect to earthbound spirits, whether you're in the vicinity of an earthbound spirit or they're at a distance and you're linking in indirectly to them. You need structure, you need understanding, you need discipline, you need guidance. There's a lot that goes into it. It's more than just saying, oh, I have the gift, I can connect to a soul, I can connect, I can see that they're wounded. Because just like Jordan was saying, she could feel when she was younger that she was surrounded by all of those wounded souls, but she didn't want to do it wrong.
Yeah.
She didn't want to mess up. She knew she needed direct training to learn how to help these souls efficiently. And I'm so glad that she did that. So in training, we give you structure, we give you details, we give you step-by-step guidance on how to actually do this work, but also how to keep yourself protected, strong, safe, and secure with your own spirit team, which is very important as well. So
Very important.
yeah, I think it's very important. Now, to get to a subject that comes up quite a bit with rescue mediumship, misconceptions. There are a lot of people out there in the spiritual, psychic, and paranormal, and even those that aren't even these communities, just people that hear about earthbound spirits. There's a lot of misconceptions out there, and Jordan and I wanted to be able to discuss what these misconceptions are and then explain the full detail of why they're wrong. Do you want to start, Jordan? What do you think is one of the major, no pun intended, major misconceptions out there?
Well, one of the major ones that I've come across in my development and just connecting with people in community is that as rescue mediums, we force a soul to transition. We force them into light, we just grab them, we throw them in, we banish them, and we just send them off.
But don't we?
No, we do not.
We do not.
We do not do that. At least
Why
we don't.
don't we do that, Jordan? Other than the fact that it's just morally wrong.
Mm-hmm.
but there's other reasons why we
There's
don't.
many reasons why we don't do that.
Right.
One, at least from what my team taught me, was free will. Free will is not just it's a universal law. It is not just extended to those in a physical form. It is also extended to those out in the astral planes. Now, with that being said, if something is causing harm and you're trying to set boundaries, there's a difference between that versus somebody. And I've seen a lot in paranormal investigations where a medium will come in and just banish the soul when that was their home. They built that home, they created that home, that was their family home, it's been passed down in generations, and the medium just comes in, grabs them, and bans them off the property, throws them into the light. Which oftentimes, when I've linked into some of those places, that soul still remains there. They may have left and come back, but they didn't fully leave.
Right.
Right. So I don't know about any of you guys, but if I was in my place of comfort, wherever that may be, it may be my home, maybe somewhere else, but in my comfort, and somebody just comes in yelling and screaming at me, telling me to get out, I'm probably not going to listen into it. I'm probably not going to be as amenable. So on free will is a thing, but also being able to have a conversation with a soul, figure out why they're there, what's kind of going on, learn about more of their story, their people. When we're talking about earthbounds, they're human beings, they're people.
They are people.
Right, and therefore they deserve respect and to be treated with care.
We don't force any souls into the light, period. I'd like people to have a different view on rescue mediumship compared to what it's been in the past. If you think about rescue mediumship, I want you to think of us as the friendly advisors, counselors, and healers of the earthbound spirit. We come in, we find out why the earthbound spirit is in that state of transition, what their attachments are, give them the help that they need. We try to make them feel better. With that, we listen, we counsel, we advise on what the earthbound spirit can do. We bring in resources, we give them options. We're the advocates of the earthbound spirit to come in to really be of assistance to them. If at any time an earthbound spirit says, no, I'm really not ready to go into the light, I really want to stay here, I'm not ready to let go, and the people that own the business or the residents like, yeah, sure, they could stay, we can't do a thing. We cannot do anything because we cannot go against the free will of the spirit as long as the people that are here in the physical world say it's okay. Now, when the people that own the business or the residents say it's not okay, then we try to create options for the earthbound spirit, give them a guide to maybe help them travel around the world, see things they have to see before, send them to an astral healing space that's not necessarily in the light, bring in a family member that can maybe do some counseling with them, take them to another location. There's many things that we can do to create comfort for that earthbound spirit, just in case they're not ready to go, but they have to leave the location they're in at the moment. So there's many options. So we're able to not only help the earthbound spirit, but the people that are living or working at locations that might just be a little afraid of having a ghost there. We're here to create calm in the storm. We're here to create peace in chaos. So I don't want you thinking we're coming in just to force a spirit into light. I don't know why they began that story about rescue, why they created, that gossip about it. It doesn't exist, period. I do believe that maybe some mediums in the past did that.
I've met some that even still continue to do so, just to be clear.
I don't want to hear it.
I know. But there are many different ways, right? And that's not to say that people have bad intentions. It's that's the information that they have in their awareness. But at least myself and Amy can speak to our practice, which is we do not force.
Professional rescue medium does not do that.
Yes.
So those of you out there that are looking for help, please make sure they're trained, make sure they're credible, make sure they know what they're doing, not just any medium that says, oh yeah, I could talk to the spirit. Make sure they've been trained or have credibility in doing this work, because we train our mediums with responsibility, respect, morals, spiritual law. They know what they're doing.
Spirit law is a
Highly,
big one. And it
very
is a law that also regulates rescue mediumship as well and how we do our work, or at least some
right.
of us. I will say a new thing I've been trying, Amy, recently is I had a few earthbounds that did not want to go to the healing space, did not want to transition, did not want to go where they need to go. So my guides actually taught me something new recently is I created a resort in the astral world where they could just rest and get a little bit of a vacation. And I will say this has been very helpful for some of the spicy ones, the one that come with a little bit more. I was like, look, you don't want to get some healing. I get it.
Can we
You don't want
create a Disneyland on the other side?
I was like, could we just have like a resort? And my team was, they're like, send them to the resort. And I was like, a resort, they're like a place to rest, relax, rejuvenate, like let go of some of the stresses of the day. Because, when we're stressed, we're overwhelmed, we're surrounded by all this negativity, our brain thinks differently.
That is technically a healing space. It's just a different form of a healing space.
But it's not as invasive. So for some
No.
of my little spicy ones, they're like, oh, I'm going on vacation. It's like a backdoor healing. It's been really helpful though. So for those who that might help you, talk to your teams.
Now that you know how to do that, I have a feeling lots of spirits are coming your way. They're like, sign me up. I want to go.
I will say for some of the ones that are a little bit more darker, a little bit more like in their pain, and they just really want to avoid the straight on healing, it's been very helpful. Because I find 9 times out of 10, though, they're going there. And I'm like, oh, that's so nice because it's not healing, but it is rest, support, relaxation, weigh your options. They can talk to their guides if they want.
It's healing. But
it's
yeah.
Totally healing. But But you know what? In the 3D, in my day job as counselors, we talk about meeting people where they're at. As a rescue medium, you meet the soul and you meet the spirit where it's at. So sometimes
that's what I creative. Yeah. When I 1 year years ago, when I had an earthbound spirit that didn't want to cross, but the homeowner was like, they cannot stay. I didn't know what to do because I was still young at this. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, well, they stayed behind because they have resentment and remorse and regret and all of these R words that are coming up. They didn't want to cross because they're like, look at all the things I didn't do. And so I'm like thinking to myself, what can I do? What can I do? And then it just popped in my head. I'm like, hey, how would you like to go to Europe? How would you like to go to Africa? How would you like to go to Australia? You can go to all these different places. And the earthbound spirit's like, I could travel there. I'm like, why not? And then all of a sudden, this woman, she appears and she looks like an airline travel hostess from like the 1970s. And she's like, hi, I'm here to take you on your trip. And I'm like looking good, we can do this. And the other side is you can do so many things to help this soul transition. This is what they need for now. And off the soul went with the travel guide. And that was just like the best thing on the whole world. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that really worked.
You can get so creative. I'll never forget this. I was watching I think it was the first Wicked movie. And for those who know me, they know that I was obsessed with Wicked as a kid. I loved the book. And I remember
we're gonna have a war. We're gonna have a war. Wicked against Wizard of Oz.
Hey, I was a Wizard of Oz as a kid, but then I read that Wicked book and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I really, as a kid, really, 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 really wanted to go see it with Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel. I was so gung-ho for it, and my parents didn't take me. So I remember when I went to go see the new rendition of Wicked, the first movie, there was a part of my own soul that was so upset and was so like, we didn't get to see it. And she was so sad that we never got to see that movie. We never got to see the original. It was like, it's not good enough. It's not the same, whatever. And I'll never forget my guides came in and they said, you know, when you die, you can go watch this part, right? And I was like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, I can go see like the original rendition, almost as if I was in that time. And they're like, yeah, do not get so hung up on this. Do not let this like ruin your day. Like, we can do this. Like, you can do that. And I was like, that part of me instantly was like, okay, I'm good. I'm healed. I'm fine. She was perfectly fine because she let go of her attachment to that moment, knowing that there would be opportunity at
Yep.
another time in another place where she was going to be able to watch it. And I was, and me being a little bit, you know, I wanted the details. I was like, so can I go see like the best performance ever? And my guys are like, yes. You can see the quote, whatever your soul feels would be the
They're
best.
all good. They're all
They're
great.
all amazing. They're like, but like whatever, yes. And that part of me instantly healed. She was fine. She let go. She was enjoying the movie. And I was like, wow. And I remember thinking, this is what it must be like for some of the earthbounds who get a choice and who get options and who learn about different choices that they have. Because that instantly I was like, okay, I'm good now. We're
Mm-hmm.
fine. We're healed. We're great. I learned there was options. And so
So
we do
another
that.
and we have to get to another misconception. We're running out of time. This is one of my favorites. All ghosts are demons.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
All ghosts are evil
Yep.
and they're lying to us,
Oh, yeah.
and we're deceived
Yep.
from spirit or whatever they are, and
Yep.
they don't actually need our help. They're just trying to infiltrate us and use us for energy,
Take us over. Yep.
and take us over.
Corrupt
Yeah,
us so we can corrupt others. Yep.
that I hear that all over the place
All the
from
time.
those that you wouldn't even consider thinking that. But
Yeah.
there's many people out there like, don't talk to a ghost. They're demons. Don't The earthbound spirits don't need help. They're only here to harm you. That's what I was taught from the
Me
very
too.
beginning. That's why I tried to stay away from earthbound spirit, because I was taught that no, they're bad. They're all evil. They're only here to attack. And so
Yeah.
I was afraid in the beginning, and I couldn't figure out why they just kept swarming me. But then the other side is like, no, they're not. Go listen to them. Go talk to them. And then, of course, other mediums are like, well, maybe your guides are evil too. I'm like,
I used to get that
oh,
too.
come on.
No.
Really? An
Mm-hmm.
evil spirit wants me to go and help and heal a soul and get them back to God. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. An evil spirit wants me to learn how to set boundaries and how to get back with God and how to like do my inner healing so I can
Mm-hmm.
set better boundaries. Okay.
No, no.
Yeah. Tell me to
Earthbound
pray.
spirits
Sure.
are not demons.
No.
Some carry very dark, dense energy for sure. There are many. I categorize earthbound spirits into levels.
Yeah.
I do like it. I'm ex-military. I put everything in a category in a box, but I do it so that people understand what type of earthbound spirit they're dealing with, dependent on their vibrational frequency. And so, when you're dealing with what I call level 3, which are the denser, darker versions of earthbound spirits, they can seem very demonic. They can seem like they're here to attack you. Some do, because they're more self-loathing. They're very dark in their hearts and in their minds. They've turned so much from the light that all they're doing is thinking about harming other people and themselves. They can seem very demonic, but they still are not. They are still the soul. I mean, if you look at people out there in the physical world, is everyone walking around with angel wings? No. We have various degrees of personalities. And the majority of people that do the bad things in the world, there's one common thread between all of them, and that is the fact that they are wounded. There isn't a single person on the planet that hurts other people that aren't wounded. They have to start as a wounded person and
Yeah.
want to harm other people. Same rules apply with an earthbound spirit. The darker the spirit is, the more wounded they are. And of course, they're going to want to attack people, because that's what people do when they're angry. Misery loves company. They want to attack, they want to lash out. That doesn't mean you're supposed to take it. And in rescue mediumship, we teach our students how to have their spirit sovereignty, how to retain their divine light, how to stand in their power, have their confidence, create boundaries, work with their spiritual team. There's many things that we train our students in that takes away the fear, which is the vulnerable part of why people actually get attacked in the first place. Did you want to add anything to that, Jordan?
Well, it's all about empowerment, right? And I know you mentioned some of the level 3s, but to be fully transparent, I've been attacked by some level 2s, which would be some of the victims or those who are carrying a lot more trauma. And I almost like to think about it, if you were similar to somebody in the 3D, right? If suddenly their entire life circumstances was just dark and negative and made them feel powerless or made them feel frustrated or angry, and that was their entire experience, people change, right? As my job is in my day job as a counselor, when I've seen people go through traumatic circumstances, they can shift in how they react, how they respond, their outlook, their view, how they understand things. And I'll never forget, I had an earthbound come to me once, and she was a sexual assault victim, and she had passed away, and that part of her that was so stuck in the trauma had fragmented off. It had separated from the rest of her soul that had already transitioned, and she was in a fight or flight response, and she was fighting because every energy she came across, she thought she was being re-victimized. And I remember her energy coming in, and I thought it was something much darker that was attacking me because it was so relentless over and over and over again. And my guide said, take a step back and re-step into the energy. And I realized it was this poor woman who was fighting for her life during her assault. And that fragment of her was repeating that over and over and over again. Right. And so, and I'll never forget Amy mentioning, and I think it was one of our rescue classes where you were talking about how, you were called to a home, and it was, they thought it was a demon. They were told it was a demon, and it ended up being the soul of an earthbound child that had died tragically.
Yes.
Right. So when we're surrounded by negative, or what we would consider negative, uncomfortable feelings, emotions, whether that be fear, anger, resentment, sadness, grief, longing, whatever they may be, it is natural for those who are energetically sensitive, or even just people in general, to feel that vibrational frequency and to have an emotional response to it. Right. So if you, so just because something might seem dark or might seem really scary, or it might seem very angry or vicious or violent, whatever the narrative may be, doesn't mean that it's something coming in to cause you any harm.
Right. I think one of the bigger, more meaningful perceptions that my guides gave me was that as a conscious being, you are constantly creating your reality around you based on your perception and awareness. Whatever you believe to be true is created in your reality. And that even relates to things that happen around you. If you view it as negative, it becomes negative because you amplify that intention in whatever it is that exists around you. So if an earthbound spirit comes around you and they're heavy and dense, and you immediately go into a fear-based response and you think it's negative, it's going to amplify that energy even more, making it seem it is evil and negative to you because that's all you can see. It may not actually be true. So try to take a step back, try to breathe, call in angels and guides, masters, to hold space for you so you can analyze what's actually happening without a fear-based response, to know if this is an actual spirit that needs help or just needs to be cleared out of your location. You got to take back control over your own emotions, thoughts, and energy as well.
And just to expand off of that, the importance of taking care of yourself, self-care and self-wellness. Right? It's not uncommon for those who are in healing positions who have gone through their own life story that may have been uncomfortable, that have made them feel powerless, their own traumas. It is natural for our bodies and our consciousness and our minds and our nervous system to learn patterns of response in order to keep yourself safe. Those automatic patterns don't go away when you're connecting with the spirit world. Right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of this journey is also owning your own stuff and going internal to your own stuff and doing a lot of that self-healing, because I'll even speak for myself. I know anytime I used to have a spirit come at me, my nervous system would go into fight or flight and automatically assume I was getting attacked. And just like Amy said, that would ramp up the energy around myself, around the spirit. Now the spirit's feeling like, and while none of the spirits at the time were actually trying to attack me, they were looking for help and healing, but my energy started lashing out at them because I was in a state of fight or flight because of my life experience and history. My nervous system had learned anything that feels uncomfortable, anything with anger, anything with strong emotions was dangerous.
Yes.
And my energy bodies reacted as a result of that. And my consciousness, the way I thought about what was coming in energetically, my perception was shifted because of that. So as much as we talk about advocating and healing for the spirit, a part of being in the role of the rescue medium is also working on your own healing as well, because that will shift the types of energy and even the types of beings, the type of consciousness that you come in contact with.
Very true. Which leads us into the last segment and last question we have here. Why would anyone want to become a rescue medium? I've been asking myself that for 30 years. Why would anyone want to become a medium, or medium? Why should anyone become a rescue medium? And I want to start off by saying this is not for everybody.
No.
In the least. Mediumship in general is a very divine, very spiritual practice. One that takes a lot of moral responsibility and respect of spirit. It really does shift your whole reality and make you into a different person because of all the things that you need to learn and apply as a medium and working and existing as a medium in this world. So that alone is a huge responsibility. But then to go into more specialized forms of mediumship, such as rescue mediumship, which is heavier, takes a lot of thick skin, takes a lot of protection techniques. It takes a lot of wound healing that Jordan was talking about. It's hard. This is one of the hardest forms of spiritual work out there. And I would always say, think for a while, contemplate it, think clearly, go to your spiritual team if they haven't already come to you already and pushed you into this. Or talk to peers, ask them their opinion on it. Not that's it, as long as it's not fear-based. But ask them, do you see me as a rescue medium? Do you think that I would be good at doing this? Ask around. Maybe get a reading from another medium or someone that is open to this work and ask them, do you think that I would be a good rescue medium if you're doubting the choice of doing this work? But there are a few ways to tell if you are either destined to be a rescue medium or you hold what it takes, the strength, vitality, the energy that it takes to be a rescue medium. And some of those signs and ways to tell, Jordan, do you want to add some or do you want to start with some? How can people tell if they are a natural rescue medium?
So just from what I've noticed over the years of getting to meet many beautiful, wonderful individuals who do this work, as I mentioned earlier, oftentimes there's a level of life experience where maybe you felt either you've been powerless or you felt like your power was taken away in some capacity, some level of wounding. And I remember asking my guides, why did this happen? And they said, well, it puts you at a vibrational frequency to be able to match some of those spirits that are coming in. But also, and I'll never forget this, and I've talked about this on the show, when I had an earthbound come to me, and I asked why did they come to me specifically, because I was curious. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget, she looked at my energy system and she pointed right at one of my wounds and went, because you know what it's like to be here in my position. But she could also see the level of healing that had happened. So there's different perspectives, different because of life experience that some individuals have gone through. But then also, again, a lot of folks, at least not just in the rescue medium field, but I find as a person who works in a position with a lot of healers in my day job, as well as has a lot of family members who are in that position. And that doesn't just healers in the energetic sense, but also in the medical field and the mental health field, like just people who are there for folks who are going through struggle or hardship. Oftentimes there's a level of experience with that, or even just being the person that somebody might want to come talk to. You find people come to you for good, they think you have good advice. You find that people just like to come or get just drawn to you because you carry that energy of a healer one way or another. I find that I see that a lot with folks.
Mm-hmm. I
Oh, yeah.
think another way that people can tell that they're already a natural rescue medium is because they've been attracting ghosts their whole life.
Oh, yeah.
When they were a kid and they saw shadows standing over their bed, or hearing voices or having that invisible friend, when they were young, or going and driving by a cemetery and seeing spirits, or just going out in general and feeling like you're seeing dead people all around you. But these dead people aren't light beings, but rather they seem wounded or scared or confused. You're already attracting these spirits to you like a magnet. Before you even know you're a rescue medium, they know you are based on your vibration. So, and that's what happened to me, is they
Same.
knew before I knew
Oh, yeah.
who. And so another way you can tell is because you're drawn to things such as the medical field or the counseling fields or EMT, police, fire,
Military.
military. We are more like, we like the tougher, more service oriented fields, but we also carry a spiritual attunement and talent and what we call gift of being a medium or a sensitive or a psychic. So if you feel that you may be a sensitive and you feel that you're also geared towards a service oriented field already, this might be for you as well. And then there are some of you that just love the dark or just love working as a warrior, and you love, going in, you like watching the horror movies or the paranormal shows, and you just get so drawn to it. That wasn't me at all. I was drawn to heaven and guides and angels and, the Wizard of Oz. That was me. Everything was light and love. So when I first got started in rescue mediumship, I thought they got the wrong person. I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't think about ghosts. That's not my thing. Sure enough, it was my thing. But many of you out there might have been drawn into the paranormal or the spooky shows or haunted locations from a very early age, or you just feel like you're drawn to it now. Like energy attracts like energy. So if you're drawn to these locations, these movies, these shows, or these events, your energy might be showing itself to you outside of yourself, saying you carry the frequency of this. Look into it. So there are many different ways.
I feel like guides kind of try to breadcrumb you throughout your life for certain things. Because I remember talking to other rescue mediums, and we talk about, well, what were your favorite shows as a kid? What did you naturally get drawn to? And then later on in your spiritual development journey, you're like, okay, that makes a lot of sense now.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, and lastly, why would you want to do this work? Because there are human souls that are wounded, looking for the light. Yes, the other side is absolutely readily available, but these souls can't see them. They can't find the light. So if you know you have the ability to be of service and to be help, why wouldn't you? It just seems like the right thing to do. We're not getting in the way because we can't, because we're working with our spiritual team and we're working as a group to help this earthbound spirit. No rescue medium works alone. So we're not getting in the way. We're not doing something we're not supposed to be doing. We are going through the instruction of the spirit world and just being an extra person on the team to connect to the spirit in ways that the other side can't. That's all.
And I will say a big part of this work as a rescue medium is also connecting with the guides of the spirit that you're supporting. There's been many times when I'll go to, I'll just call on one of the guides. I automatically now call on the guide of the spirit that I'm trying to support. And I'll ask them what kind of perspective would be helpful for this soul. It doesn't always result in a transition because that's not always what the guides told me what they need me to do. Sometimes it's just to give them an awareness of something to help them almost like as a stepping stone in their journey as their guides and their team and their family on the other side are supporting. Sometimes, yes, it is about supporting the transition period. Other times it's not. So as Amy said, we're working with our spirit teams, but we're also working with the spirit team of the earthbound soul to figure out how could we be of service to that soul.
Always. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of spirits that are working with you with every rescue.
Yeah.
So you're not doing it alone by any means. It may sometimes feel like you are, but you're not if you're doing it correctly with the right team to help you with that transition. So hopefully we've given a little bit more information about what an earthbound spirit is, what rescue mediumship is, some misconceptions, and why you think you should be a rescue medium as well. But I'm sure you have a lot more questions, and I'm sure you have probably more questions than answers at this point, which is normal because there's so much information to learn about this subject. I always suggest go read some books. Go on Amazon. There's tons of books out there. Go into a bookstore. There's less books in a bookstore these days. You can find it more online. Watch some of these podcasts. Listen to a few other mediums and their personal experience. Get a feel for it. Try to find some of those answers, but also try to have a deeper understanding of this without fear. And if you decide that you don't want to be a rescue medium, that is perfectly fine too. But all we ask is that you support rescue mediums because it is a really hard job and we can use all the support that we can get from the spiritual and paranormal communities. So.
And we work in community as well, right? And I know we've talked a little bit about this on the show, that even if somebody isn't doing rescue mediums specifically, it doesn't mean that they're not supporting the spirit rescue community in a bigger way, in a different way.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Exactly. Like I even look at counselors in the 3D providing support, guidance, healing. So maybe when that person passes, that part of them doesn't fracture and fragment. They can transition. Right. Energy healers. There's so many different people that even I think of those who provide messages from loved ones from the higher, from spirit world, right? And from their loved ones, their family, even just giving that support and helping them know that, okay, life does persist after death. We're not alone. Oh, they say they're going to come down and help me. Like that could be really healing for somebody. So even if you're not a rescue medium yourself, there is a bigger community of support that we all help one another in ways that we don't even recognize.
Exactly. And so if you do have any extra questions, please leave them down below. And we'd love to hear your questions. We'd love to hear positive comments as well. But we also have an email. How can they reach us, Jordan, if they want to email us?
Would like to reach out to us. And also, if you guys have any misconceptions that you've heard, I would love to hear them so that way we can address them or answer them. Mm-hmm. Because there is a lot of them out there. And as we've said, many people do it in different ways, but we also have our way. And hopefully our way resonates with some of you. You can always email us at thespiritrescuetalk@gmail.com. We love your comments, love your questions.
We do. And we thank all of you for your support, at least watching the podcast, doing due diligence and learning as much as you can about this. This really does mean quite a bit to us for your support on this. And hopefully we will see you next time for the next episode. Have a great night.